Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all here. Some of you I haven't seen in a while. And those of you who have not been here in a while, I just want to welcome you all here today, this morning. How do you feel this morning? Yeah? Do you have a reason to feel good about your life? You know, I tell you, within the last month, I have heard the news about three friends of mine, one 59 years old, 2 years older than me in California, all of a sudden just went out to mow his grass, dropped dead. And then a day later, I heard that another friend of mine, this one 57 years of age, my age or maybe a year younger than me, died from cancer in Florida. And then within a few days, another friend of ours, both me and Milos's, and she's younger, 53, 4 years old, diagnosed with serious colon cancer that has spread throughout her body. And you know what? All of those things, all of that information came to me during this particular week when I was complaining about everything. You know how that goes when you have a week when you start complaining about everything and things are not going your way and you're not happy about little things. And to you they seem really big until you hear something like this. And I'm thinking at that point when all of that kind of sunk in and I realized that two of my friends were gone forever and another one is sick and literally dying, I've been telling everybody, you know, Jim and Tony and Milos, and I've been telling everybody, what do I have to complain about? Even when I am at a bad mood and not feeling like doing something because I'm not in the mood to do it, you know, but sometimes you have things you have to do even though you don't want to do them. I'm thinking, both of my buddies who are gone, they would love to be in my shoes, and they would love to be miserable the way I am right now. And they don't have that opportunity anymore because life for them is over. And you know, sometimes we have to stop and look at our life and stop complaining. We live in a country where we really should not have a good reason to complain. I mean, a lot of things are available to us. A lot of people in Denver are working now, making money. If you got health, if you got arms, if you can see with your eyes, if you can walk on your own 2 feet, you are blessed. I mean, you are blessed. And then on top of that, I want to tell you one other thing. You and I, we are also the children of God. Even if there was other things that were bad in your life, you know, poor health or lack of money or, you know, things not going your way, even if all of those things were true and serious, you are still a child of God. And He still cares for you. And you are still special to Him. And He still thinks of you. And when I think about all of those things, I realize that those are the kinds of things that should give me the energy to go on with my life and to do things for God that He has asked me to do. Now, you know, I stand here before you and I'm a pastor, so God has called me to that job, to that ministry. But you know what? Every single one of you here, not only are you a child of God, but whether you like it or not, whether you recognize it or not, whether you live it or not, you are also a representative of God. You represent Him. And sometimes you and I, we represent Him really well, really good, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes people around us look and say, wow, I thought these guys were Christian. And yet, they do things that are not right. And you know what all of those things are. I don't need to go into them. Lying, cheating, stealing, prejudice, racism, hate, All of those things. You cannot have those things in your life because you represent God to this world. So, I want to tell you today one other thing. Christianity is about the radical action on behalf of God. Radical action on behalf of God. That's what Christianity is all about. Christianity is not about you and I coming here and sitting in these pews once a month or twice a month or even 4 times a month. That's not what it is about. It's about the radical actions on your part and my part representing God to this world that is gone completely haywire and crazy at this point in time. If you look at the world around us, we are living at the crazy times. We are living at the times when the country is rising against country, nation against nation, continent against continent, west against east. There is rumors of wars. There is all kinds of bad things going on in this world. Corruption and politics and, abuse, even on the part of the governments, even on the part of the people who are supposed to protect us. There is abuse, police, and so on. And what do we do as Christians? Do we just come to listen and hear and study, or are we supposed to act? Christianity always was, through Christians, through followers of God, there were always radical changers of this world. You think of any one of them in the Bible, whether it be in the Old Testament people like Moses, or whether it be in the New Testament people like apostles and Apostle Saul and all the rest of them, they were there to change the world. They went against the grain. They spoke when everybody else was silent. They stood up when everybody else sat down. They were not going to be intimidated. They were not going to be scared off. They spoke what was right and what was true and what was honorable. And they represented God. And many of them paid with their lives because they were able to stand up. Not able, they just did it. They didn't care about what people are going to say. They stood for God. They stood for God on every point in their life. That's what Christianity is all about. It's about the radical action on behalf of God. You are the one who is supposed to act. And I want to talk a little bit about it today. We have introduced to this church this concept of make, and that's on the screen right now. And this is kind of a prescription, a guide, an idea for what we as a church can be doing in this world in order to radically act on God's behalf. And the points are obviously make the world better, alleviate the suffering, know Jesus, and energize your life. When we start talking about making the world better, this is an important topic. A lot of times we as Christians have just stood on the sidelines. And a lot of times we have just had this philosophy of not getting involved in the things of this world. Oh, we're going to leave that to the government. Or we're going to leave that to the proper authorities. Or we are not going to get involved in that. Our job is just to study the Bible and pray and give Bible studies and see if somebody's going to get baptized in our church. So we kind of stayed out of the world issues. We stayed out of the things that were going on in this world that are not fair, that are not right. We just kind of stayed out of all of that stuff. Because as Christians, we just pulled back, and that was none of our business. Let me tell you something. When God created Adam and Eve, your and mine, grandfather and grandmother, He put them in the Garden of Eden, and He gave them this earth, and He says, take care of it. It's yours. It's your home. So as Christians, this idea that we somehow have to step out of the world has carried on in this way where we don't want to be involved in the world. But this earth, this planet, these woods, these mountains, these rivers, the ocean, it belongs to you and I. Not because your passport or your citizenship says you're an American or you're Mexican or whatever you are, but because God gave this planet to the human beings. And we are the human beings. We are a part of that as Christians. And God wanted us, human beings, to take care of that gift properly, of this world that's around us. And today this world is polluted, and it's full of garbage, and it's full of trash, and it's being trashed all over the place as we speak right now. Should Christians say anything about it? When you go for a hike in the woods and there is Coke cans and garbage and plastic bags, why? Is that okay? That's not okay. That's not okay. People destroying this world, this home of ours that God gave us, it's not okay. On our part, we have to take radical action, and we have to say we're going to do something about it. We have to speak against it. We have to speak in favor of those who are trying to protect this planet. And we have to do our part as well. What can we as a church do to make the world better? Are there things that we can do on this planet, right here, not just globally, but right here in Arvada? A lot of things that can be done. How do you personally treat this earth? What do you do in your own life? Are you somebody who trashes it? Or are you somebody who takes care of it? So, here at the church, when we are talking about caring for the earth, we are thinking about doing some sort of a recycling programs. We are thinking about partnering with the city of Arvada and the city of Denver to help clean up the park trails and whatnot. Do a little bit. Just show that we care. Show that this is something that we want to do on this planet. Another point is supporting justice for all. In order to make the world better, do we support justice for all, or do we support only justice for ourselves? And you have in every country of the world right now, you have this huge right-wing movement, which basically in the end supports only the justice for myself. That's what's going on around the world. As Christians, do you care when you go into a store like Walmart? I'm going to be open. Do you care? Do you even think when you buy stuff over there that somebody is literally getting screwed over to put that product on the shelf here so that you and I can buy it as cheap as possible? Do you care that they use child labor? Do you care when you put gasoline into your car that the majority of it comes from a country, Saudi Arabia, that has been extremely unfriendly to us behind the scenes? On the surface, we are friends, but behind the scenes, look at what's going on. Do you care? I do. I tell you, I do. I went online and I looked up that particular detail, and I wanted to find out if there are companies that only sell American oil. And there are. You can search it yourself. Maybe this sounds stupid to you. Maybe this sounds crazy to you. But there is justice issue in all of these things. Do you care that people overseas in particular countries, and there are hundreds of them, hundreds of countries, there are people, minorities, who have been pushed out of their land, of their state, of their inheritance, and our government supports them? Do you care? Do we care about justice for all? See, when I start speaking like this, then you know why the FBI, for example, has been following the speeches of preachers across the country for hundreds of years now. Because preachers tend to say these things. I'm not the only one. Do you support what is fair for all? Fairness is an across-the-board requirement for all our interactions with each other. Fairness treats everybody the same. Do you support that or not? Or only for myself again, or for the people who are exactly like me? as Christians, I believe that our job is to make this world of ours that God gave us as a gift better. And in order to do that, you have to support the justice, you have to support what is right, even if you disagree with the person that's going to apply to. Sometimes you may not like a group of people. Free speech, for example, in the United States. Free speech. We have free speech. You can say whatever you want to do. But do you support free speech for gays? Do you support free speech for Muslims? Do you support free speech for Nazis? Do you support free speech for people that you absolutely cannot stand? You see what I'm saying? There are groups out there that you totally disagree with. You can't stand them. You hate what they stand for. You hate their hate. But do you support free speech for them? That's what fairness is all about. What kind of a country do you want to live in? What kind of a world do you want to live in? What kind of a Christian do you want to be? And then the last point is care for the earth, and I already talked a little bit about it. We as Christians ought to care for this earth because it is our home. It is a gift. Sometimes people give me a ride and there is cans on the floor and there is trash and there is all kinds of things. And I tell you, as somebody who loves cars, it hurts me deeply when I ride in a car like that. So if you're going to give me a ride, please make sure that your car is clean. This is America. This is the land that basically invented cars. You have to treat your car with respect. Clean it, baby it, put a little shine on it. Make it smell real good, That's what it's about, right? I mean, we do that I do it with my car. I try to clean my office clean. I get very upset, if we don't have time or something happens here at the church where we can't clean it properly. It bothers me because this is God's house. I want you, when you come, I want it to be clean, Somebody told me there was dust on the back of the pews one time, and you know what? We are trying to do that. But when you walk outside, that's God's house too. Those rivers where we go fishing, and those lakes where we go boating, and those mountains where we go climbing, that's God's house. Why not treat it right? Why not as a church partner with groups and municipalities right here where we live and help out with that? And we're going to do that. In this church, we're going to do that. And we're going to probably have an event or two even as early as this summer. And I'm going to let you know about it. What we are presenting here, this idea of make, I want it to be actionable. I don't want to just talk about it. I want it to be something that we are actually going to do as early as now, this month, next month. Okay, make the world better. I think that's enough for that. Milos already preached a sermon on that. The next one is alleviate suffering. Now, as Christians, we're good at that, aren't we? We like to alleviate suffering of people. But how do we do that? Do we just say we're going to alleviate suffering because we have a hospital down here, Porter Hospital, and we're going to let them alleviate the suffering? What are we going to do here in the local church? How do you alleviate the suffering of people around you? Maybe you have a neighbor who is not doing good financially and they need a little food. How about contacting our food bank here at the church that we have and saying to Jasmina, get me a box of food so I can take to my neighbor. You're alleviating somebody's suffering when you do that. You're helping them to live another week. You're helping them to stretch their budget a little bit when you do that. So do your part where you are. You and I, we can alleviate suffering every single day. You run into people every single day that nobody has touched in who knows how long. You run into people in your neighborhood, at your job, at your school, that nobody has physically touched in who knows how long. Why not give them a hug? Why not shake their hand? Why not tap them on the shoulder to let them know that they are important? To let them know that they are God's children? To let them know that you care? Just one little act like that alleviates pain and suffering and loneliness. Just one touch like that. Why not do it as a representative of God? Why not act radically and be like Jesus was to people that you come into contact with? As far as church events go, obviously there are many things that we want to do here at the church. Right now you can participate in the street beat. I understand that our group went, was it last week? When did the street beat go? And you guys had a wonderful time, didn't you? Fed a bunch of homeless people. It's a good event. Once a month we do that here. You can participate in that. If you're here for the first time, see me or see Sharon. Sharon, wave your hand. Right there. And she's going to give you everything, all the information on that. Tremendous ministry. Do you know how many people are living in Denver on the streets? Estimates are between 5,000 and 10,000. On the streets. No home, no roof over their head. And then you go over there and you give them a pair of new socks, a tube of toothpaste. You're alleviating suffering when you do that. We are talking to a couple of hospitals. I would like us as a church to do an event here on campus this year, maybe later in the year, later this summer, an event when we would put together nurses and doctors from some of our Seventh-day Adventist hospitals or others. I don't care. And just do an event where we will offer free medical, dental to poor people, to people who can't afford it. You know how many people go without a checkup and how many of them are going to die because they did not have a chance to go to a doctor and get tested for a certain thing? Why not offer a basic checkup to a poor community that lives here in Arvada and Lakewood and our surrounding areas? I want to do that this year. Many of you are nurses. You can help out with it. Many of you know people who want to help out with it. So we as a church can do something more tangible to alleviate the suffering of people around us. I want you to be a part of that. Because remember, Christianity is about doing. Doing. Every day. Not just once a week thing at the church. And then the last one that I put on the screen is give intentionally. Give. Help out. We're going to start a fundraiser for Tony, our friend here who's been here with us for a long time now. And you know, he can't breathe here in Colorado anymore. He's an oxygen tank. And he has to move. So he's going to Florida next month. And you know, when he became sick, he couldn't work anymore. When you can't work anymore, you start depending on the state to help you. When the state is helping you, your life is not going to be so hot. So I want to start the fund here at the church for the next month and raise a little bit of money for him so that he can make this move and not go bankrupt trying to do it. And the only one who can help him is this church family. So if you want to help with it, give intentionally. When you put a little bit into the envelope, just right next to it, Tony. And Jimmy's going to know what this is all about. And we're going to help him out to make it out there to Florida so that he can continue living. When you can't breathe in this altitude and the doctor tells you got to go, you got to go. So literally you have an opportunity here to help one of our own save their life. And I'm going to mention that again next Sabbath, and for the next 4 or 5 Sabbaths while Tony and Bryce are still here. And I'll also send you an email about it, those of you who are receiving our emails. If you are not, fill out the card, leave your email, and we'll put you on our list. Okay. We move on to the next one. We did make the world better, alleviate suffering, know Jesus, practice communication with Jesus. I mean, this is extremely important. In this church, we want you to know about Jesus. You know, I'm going to be honest with you, real honest with you. I have never been big on the doctrinal stuff. I know the doctrines, I teach them, but when I teach them, I try to teach them in the context of who Jesus is and what Jesus did for us. And I believe that there are many, at the time of Jesus, Pharisees and Sadducees and the lawyers of the law and the teachers of the law, they knew the Bible better than anybody in the world. Do you realize that some of those people were literally able to remember and to repeat verbally the whole Old Testament? They memorized it, verse by verse, word by word. So they knew their Bible. They knew the teachings of Moses. They knew the prophets, big ones and small ones. They knew everything. They knew everything. So this is the picture. This is a person who knows everything about the Bible that there is to know. And then on top of that, they live at a time when they come face to face with Jesus. Face to face. They knew him. They knew who he was. They went and listened to him preach. They had the prior knowledge of the Old Testament, and now they got to meet Jesus. And yet they failed, completely failed to know Jesus. The knowledge, just the knowledge by itself is worth absolutely nothing if you do not connect one-on-one with Jesus Christ. Absolutely nothing. They had all the knowledge in the world. Not only did they fail to know Jesus, they decided to destroy him and kill him later on. So what I want us to do here in this church, I want you to know Jesus. Practice communication with Jesus. Practice the good deeds of Jesus. Learn when you come to church like you are coming today. It's important to do those things. When we are talking about prayer, prayer is more than meditation. In meditation, the source of strength is oneself. When one prays, he goes to a source of strength greater than his own. Do you know how to go to that source? Or do you just say your prayers like a little kid who's learned them by memorization? Please, Lord, be with mom and dad and bless the hands that gave us this food and take care of the needy. And they repeat that prayer forever. That's not what it is. You got to know Jesus personally, for yourself. Number 2, practice the good deeds of Jesus. You claim to know Jesus, but does Jesus know you? And that's because of what the Bible says. When Jesus comes, you're gonna walk up to him. You may walk up to him, and he may look at you and say, "Doesn't ring a bell, sorry. You don't even look familiar." You know, sometimes you and I, we see a person and we say, yeah, you look familiar. I've seen you. Like, I met Mary Lou this morning, and she says that she was here 14 years ago, and she looked familiar. Looked really familiar. But Jesus, he may look at you and he may just say, "You don't even look familiar to me. I don't know you." Because Jesus is going to say to you, "I was in charge of all of those homeless people on earth when you were living, And I was in charge of your disabled neighbors there in the apartment complex when you were on earth. And I was in charge of all of the starving people in your own country. But I've never seen you come around. You see, Jesus is in charge of all of the dispossessed and of all of the poor and all of the people in the hospitals and prisons. He's in charge of them. They're His children. He's in charge of anybody who is suffering on this planet. And it would be a shame if He'd say to you and I, when I was in charge of all of them, I never seen you come around with a bag of food. I never seen you come around with a smile. I never seen you come around with a song. I never seen you come around with a few dollars. So, if you want to know Jesus, you got to make sure that He knows you. I read somewhere, it said, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Does Jesus know you? And then the last one was learn in church. And I hope that when you come here, that you learn things that are practical and that you can apply in your personal walk with Jesus. That's my goal as a pastor of this church. Now, that was the introduction. Now we get into the sermon. You guys came. What can I do? You came of your own free will to church this morning. Now you got to be here as long as I say. So, if you get up and walk out, it's going to be very uncomfortable. People are going to say, hey, why are they leaving? Energize your life. Let's, actually, I got preached this same sermon in about 3 minutes at the Spanish church, and then this afternoon at an Indonesian church. But I'm going to be running late, looks like. Energize your life. To energize, and now this is an extremely important lesson, because if your life does not have energy, then you are not able to do any of the things that I just talked about. If you're always down, if you're depressed, if you're full of sadness or anger, or if you're full of negativity, then how can you do any of the things that I have just talked about? You just can't. So one of the ways to energize your life, and this is true for a lot of areas in this world, to energize something, you have to get rid of the toxicity. That's point number one. What is it, excuse me, what is it that is toxic in your life? Number one thing that's toxic in people's lives, that drags you down, is guess what? Negativity, but mostly from other people. And that comes from other people. Negative people. There is a reason why negative people are called energy vampires. I want to give you this. They suck the energy out of people through their chronic negativity, never-ending crisis, and ongoing life dramas. Know anybody like that? Leaving those around them feeling down, exhausted. That's what negative people do. Negative people are easy enough to identify. They frequently complain. They rarely, if ever, have a good thing to say about anyone or anything. If you are drowning, it may be because of who you associate with. Never have anything good to say about anybody or anything, which is why it is extremely difficult to stay positive around them. So what's the solution? To prevent negative people from draining you dry, you first have to identify who they are and then decide how much time, if any, you want to be spending with them. And I read this interesting thing that I want to share with you. If your life was a movie, would it be a drama, a comedy, an adventure, or a mystery? What is your life? Drama, comedy, adventure, or a mystery? What is it? You're thinking, I can see. You can also ask yourself another question. Is this the direction I want my movie to go? If your movie is a comedy, do you really want to go in that direction? If it's a drama, if your answer is more often no than yes, consider your cast of characters. This is your movie. You're in charge. Are they overly negative? Are they overly critical? Overly dramatic? Are they high maintenance divas? Always remember that you are the scriptwriter, producer, director, and lead actor in your own show. Because this is your life. If you don't want energy vampires on your set, you have to get rid of them. If you cannot get rid of them, you have to limit your exposure to them. Because they will kill you in the end. They will just drain you. That's what negative people are. Don't let negative and toxic people rent space in your head. Raise the rent and kick them out. And another one is you cannot hang out with negative people and expect to live a positive life. That's just a fact. Now, you have a couple of other things I want to mention real quick that really take away your energy. And if you want to clean up your life and re-energize, you have to get rid of this toxicity as well. Negative habits. And I just want to go through a list that I looked up that were highest on the list of things that are bad habits for you and that drain your energy. Cell phones. How many of you are a slave to your cell phone? Not only that, but when people go to bed, it says here that young people are making between 19 and 29, 30 texts just within the 15 or 20 minutes before they go to bed. You know what it does to your brain? I mean, it just jacks it up. You can't get enough sleep. It messes with you. Next morning, you're not doing so good. Cell phone, I tell you, it's a bad gadget. Leave it at home. If you have a cell phone, and I got to have one because of my job, but I tell you, when you have a cell phone, that gadget gives access to everybody to your time. And what are you going to do? You can't, it starts ringing, you have to pick it up. So if you have to do it, do it. But if you don't have to, get rid of it. Clutter. Clutter makes people anxious. That uses up the energy. It also wastes time. Wastes time when you're trying to find something. Wall Street Journal did a study and they found that the United States executives are spending up to, guess how many weeks? Up to 6 weeks per year looking for stuff on their desks and in their files because it was not organized. Is it any wonder that China is completely overtaking us? If our own executives are spending 6 weeks a year just looking for paperwork, then I'm surprised that we are number one at anything, really. Anyways, that's a little joke. But clutter. You have experienced this in your own life. Cluttered desk, cluttered basement, cluttered kitchen, cluttered garage. You can't find nothing. It does something to your mind. Solution, start cleaning up every day a little bit. Next one, negative emotions. Negative emotions are huge drainer of energy. Anger, resentment, regret, jealousy. Those things are bad for you. They make you tense. They take away your peace. How many people have things that they regret in life? I should have done something different. And those thoughts, they go through their head over and over and over again, and it never ends. Get rid of your negative emotions. When you're feeling angry or upset, force yourself to do things that run counter to tension, such as deep breathing, exercise, prayer, relax. Let the guy passed you, flipped you off, cut in front of you, hit the brakes. Let him go. Let him go. Maybe he has mental issues. Maybe he's late for work. Maybe he's just an idiot. Why would you let him ruin your life? Let him go. Just let him go. If they're not physically pointing a gun at you, just let them go. If they are, somebody did it, Tony, right here on 64 on Wadsworth. Well, the police are going to be after a person like that. You don't need to get all crazy about people like that. So if you want to re-energize your life, get rid of all of this toxicity that's in you. Dehydration here in Colorado, I just want to mention this. This is a health issue. If you're only 3 or 4% dehydrated, you're not going to function as a normal person. You're going to have the brain fog. And you're not going to have any energy. Are you drinking water? Are you exercising? Are you taking care of your body? Do you ever listen to your body? By the way, I'm going on a ride next Sunday, 100 miles. And I've been riding my bike the last couple of weeks. I'm still not in shape to do 100 miles. But you know what? I'm going to do it if I have to drag that bike over the line. I will. Sometimes you just have to push yourself. So that's why I'm mentioning dehydration, lack of exercise. When you exercise, your muscles, they build up and they store energy. And that's where the energy comes from. That's what your muscles were designed to do, to create and to store energy. When you exercise, it is the same as charging your iPad or your phone. You're putting energy into your body. You're putting energy into yourself when you exercise. When you never exercise, no wonder you're not going to have any energy. So, every day, shoot for 20 to 30 minutes of exercise. Studies show, this is what I want to share with you real quick. Studies show that people who believe they can go the distance, whether it's a long run or an all-day garage overhaul, are more likely to stay on track. If you believe that you can do it, you can do it. If you believe that you can walk a mile or 5 miles or 10 miles, you can do it. So, in order for us to change things spiritually, we need to take care of our body. We need to take care of our mind. The next point is feed your body and feed your mind. Feed your body and feed your mind. Body, you can find all kinds of information online. But I want to give you a verse right there from the Bible that is key to a spiritual rejuvenation. And look at this. Whatever is true. God wants us to feed our mind and to think about whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right. If we only take inside whatever is true, that means we should hardly ever watch any movies. Because they're all lies. Most documentaries are lies. Most news is lies. I'm just saying. Whatever is true, put into your mind. Whatever is noble. Whatever is right, whatever is pure. Whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Is that what goes into your mind? Or junk? I don't want to use any harsher word than that on the pulpit. You see? But a lot of people put all kinds of junk into their mind. I tend to be a news junkie at times when I get into the mood, and I'll check all the news sites. And I tell you, when I do that in the morning, my day is depressed after that. I'm serious, because my mind just goes over all of the injustices and unfairness in this world. And I'm not a happy camper. Because whatever you put into your mind is going to affect your emotions. And it's going to affect your spiritual state. So that's why the Bible tells us to focus on these things. I want to encourage you, my friends. I want to encourage you to take this verse and to paste it or mark it in your Bible and look at it every day. Because this verse is a guide to a spiritual freedom. This verse is a guide to a spiritual and mental energy. But you got to read it for yourself when you have time and let it sink in. And then evaluate whether or not it applies to you or whether or not your life is in line with this text. Okay, 3 more slides and we are done. Feed your soul right. Feed your soul right. Make a list of all of the positive things in your life. Make a physical list of all of the positive things in your life. Things that you should be happy about. Things that you should not complain about. Think about other people who don't have nearly as much as you do. Luck or happiness or joy in their life. And yet they are smiling more than you are. And make a list of all of those things that you should be thankful for. Take a prayer walk. If you're married, take your spouse. And when you go for a walk, pray. Pray to God. Let Him soak into your soul. Dance. In the Bible, they danced. David danced to God and for God. We don't do that anymore because we're better than David. But maybe we should go and do it from time to time. I don't know. I'm not promoting that we dance here on the stage. But maybe at your home, if you feel especially grateful to God for something, maybe you can do a few steps. You know, make a devotional basket. Find a basket and put in there your Bible, your lesson. Put in there a devotional book. Put in there a piece of paper with the things you're grateful for. Put in there a list of people that you are praying for. Call it a devotional basket where all of your spiritual life is contained. And you can reach it any time of the day. Maybe it's in your bedroom. Maybe it's in your kitchen, wherever you're spending a lot of time. Put together a spiritual basket. Sing to God. I was happy to hear this congregation singing to God today with this wonderful praise band that we have here today. God wants us to sing. You're His child. He loves you. He cares for you. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to sing. Get a new Bible. You know, every once in a while I go on Amazon and I find me a new Bible. Just for the heck of it. Maybe a different version. Get a new Bible. Maybe get you excited about reading it. If you can't afford one, and if you never had a Bible, you tell me and I'll get you one. I'm serious. Fast. When was the last time you fasted? And I don't mean just food. I mean fasted. Abstain from food. Abstain from negative people. Abstain from negative situations. Abstain for movies and music. Abstain from everything that's bad. Just allow the whole system to cleanse. That's what fasting is about. Get rid of all the bad and let in God's Spirit. When was the last time you did that? Pick a day sometimes. Look at your calendar. When you're not going to have a lot of things on your calendar, when people are not going to bug you, and make an appointment with God to spend that day fasting. Physically and spiritually. It will rejuvenate you. And the last one that I want to share today is be still. We are living in a society where nobody is still anymore. Everybody is rushing somewhere. We come to church and we are in a hurry. We are always in a hurry. America, busy. Make more money. Run. Got things to do. Can't hang around. We got to change that. Somebody just came back from Mexico and I talked to them. And they said, when I was there, I visited with the family. And he says, Pastor Gordon, you know what the biggest difference is from there and here? I said, I know, but tell me. And I know what it is. And he said, over there, people have time for each other. Over there, when the work ends in the afternoon, people go visit to each other's home. People have time for each other. Be still. Last verse I want to share for you, because the Spanish police is here. They're taking me over to the next church. He says, be still. Be still and know that I'm God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. Amen. When you are still and you know that He's God and that He's your Father, how much security and peace and life energy that's going to put into your life. God bless you as you ponder on this. I'm going to go next door, and Milos is going to finish here. Amen.